morning. It's day 27. Talk about your best job. And my best job was teaching. There were aspects of it that I hated, like testing and having adequate yearly progress of the school based on one test that the children took usually in March, right before spring break. And I hated all the stupid, unnecessary paperwork that they switched on us all the time. But what made it my best job was the children. I was trying to think if that's grammatically correct. The kids are what made it for me. Once that classroom door closed and there were no administrators and there were no uppity-ups from the county lurking around waiting for you to screw up, then that's when it was awesome. When we were in there and we were learning and they were having fun learning. And that is what made it for me. Especially when one of them didn't understand something and I explained it to them. Maybe we were sitting at their desk working one-on-one and I was going over the steps, and all of a sudden this light came into their eyes and it was like, oh, I get it now, I understand it. That made it worth it. That's what was the best. That was the best part of it. Dealing with behavior problems, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but always interesting. But the main thing was just getting that moment when they understood and it made sense to them. One of the things we taught in second grade were balanced equations, which, as I'm sure most of you know, is an algebraic concept that probably most of you didn't learn until you were in middle school. Maybe you called it junior high, or some of you even high school. But we would have a balanced equation and they would look at me like, what? Because it would have a little box, plus 6 equals 9 plus 3. And what they had to figure out was that both sides had to equal 12. So what did they add to 6 so that they had 12 on the left, like they had 12 on the right? So I struggled with it for just, the longest time, trying to teach them, showing them, it's 12. What's 9 plus 3? 12. Okay, the equal sign, and then it hit me. It's like a balance. Like the balances that we used in science. So I got out the balance that we used in science, and I got out our counting blocks, and I had the children, usually the child who was struggling with it the most, I had that child come up and put 9 counting blocks in first, then 3 counting blocks, and had them count as they put it in. Then on the other side, they put in 6. And I said, okay, is this balanced. And they all raised their hand, and I would call on 2 or 3. No, 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 no. So what do we have to do to make it so that it's the same on both sides? And I said, how many do we have on the right? And they would all raise their hands. 12. So we've got 6 over here. How many do we have to add to the 6 to have 12? And then it was like, ding! Oh, I get it now. And it was the same thing with fractions. I will never forget when I told my uncle, who was like one of the smartest men I've ever known, that all fractions are the denominator, the number on the bottom, is the whole group. The numerator on the top is how many in the group are doing a specific thing, wearing a specific thing, eating a specific thing. They're basically just a part of the group. So in the mornings, what I did was I would have someone count how many people how many children, because if it said people, they would count me. How many children are there in class today? And that person would get up and count and tell me, oh, there's 24 today. Okay, how many of them are wearing green shirts? And I would have somebody else count all the green shirts. Well, there's 16. Well, 16 24ths of our class are wearing green shirts. And that helped them understand fractions. With reading, what I loved about teaching reading was when they went from reading like this when they read the book. Imagine sitting and listening to 24 to 26 children do that all in a row. To having them reading like this when they read the book, because they understood their phonemes, they understood their diphthongs, they understood how the letters came together to form a word and how the words came together to form a sentence. And so whenever they got a concept, whether it was in reading or writing or math or science or social studies, then all the rest of that nonsense that went on, you know, learning focus strategies, AYP, FCAT, Florida Rights, SAT-10, all that nonsense, all the stupid paperwork they wanted us to fill out, it didn't matter. Because the kids were what mattered. The kids were what made it for me. And that's why teaching was my best job. And that's why it makes me incredibly sad that because of things that were done to me, I can't handle it anymore. I can't do it. And I'm slowly coming to terms with it, but it's still hard. It's all I ever wanted. And that was just one more thing that got taken away from me because of things that happened to me when I was younger. So, just 3 more days and then we're done. See you tomorrow.